الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. Inshallah, this should be the last part of this series. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ تَعَجَّلَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ وَمَنْ تَأَخَّرَ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ لِمَنِ اتَّقَى. In Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the one who would haste and leave in 2 days, there is no sin on him. The one who delays it and make it 3 days, there is no sin on him. For one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is said about the Ayyam al-Tashriq, where we are now. So once a person has done the Rami of the 3 Jamarat and stayed 2 nights, then he is permitted to leave Mina if he wishes. If he wishes, he can delay for another night and stay the night and do the Rami the 3rd day and then leaves after that. There are certain rules connected with this Rami. This nafar, this leaving Mina, is that as long as a person leaves before the sunset, then there is no problem. If he stays in Mina beyond sunset, then he should not leave and complete the 3rd day's Rami and then he can leave. The Rami can be delayed for a valid reason for the next day or the following day, or all the 3 days Rami can be done at the last day, though this should not be done routinely. People should not make this an easy way out. However, for people in need, like old people, women who have children with them, or women in general, if they find it difficult to go into the crowd, then they can. We expect that there would be some kind of arrangement that Rami would be allowed according to the group with their number. This hasn't happened in an organized way yet, but it's being tried. So it can be done in that manner, and Rami can also be done on behalf of someone who is ill or someone who is weak, though it should not be again made into an excuse to appoint someone and do someone else, because it's part of manasik. Everybody should try to do himself or herself, but if there is a difficulty, especially for women and for old people, someone else can do the Rami. Once this matter is finished, then you leave Makkah. However, before leaving Makkah, it is wajib that one performs the what is called Tawaf al-Wada. Tawaf al-Wada is the last one, and I've mentioned the hadith of Ibn Abbas when he said that the Prophet ﷺ said no one should leave until حتى يكون آخر عهده بالبيت, until his last affair is with the house, which means that he does a tawaf before leaving Makkah. And this is the Tawaf al-Wada, and this tawaf is wajib according to the majority of scholars. Except that Ibn Abbas he said إلا أنه خفف عن الحائض, that except that Rasulullah ﷺ made the matter lighter for a woman who is in her menstruation. In that case, she is exempted. She doesn't have to go to Masjid Haram and wait on stand on the door and then do the farewell from there. These are all things without any basis. Rather, she is allowed to leave. So the Hajj is over in this way. Then most of us would want to go to Al-Madinah. So inshallah, I want to mention a couple of things briefly about visit to Medina. But before we go to the visit to Medina, there's one issue which is which bothers people. Everyone thinks that praying in the Kaaba is something that is required. So you should. Now, of course, you can't enter the Kaaba because it has a door which is locked and it's closed. But what we know is that the area between Hatim and the Kaaba, the present Kaaba, is also part of the Kaaba, because that was inside the Kaaba. Now it's outside the Kaaba because of the issue of construction, which I've mentioned previously, that it's not on the same foundation of Ibrahim alayhi salam, rather it's less. So whatever is left outside, what is called Hijr, is in fact part of the Kaaba. So praying in the Hijr is like praying inside the Kaaba. So this is why people try to do that. Really, this is something that one should avoid, and there's no need for that. Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam left me, kharaja min indiha wa huwa masroor. He went from me, he was joyous, he was happy. When he came back, then he was sad. So then he said to Aisha radiallahu anha, inni dakhaltu al-Kaaba walau astaqbaltu min amri ma astadbartu ma dakhaltuha. I went into the Kaaba. If I knew what I know now of my affair, then I would not have entered the Kaaba, because he said, inni akhafu an akuna qad shaqaqtu ala ummati. I fear that I have burdened my ummah. So why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that? Because he knew that people would think that, no, this is something, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did so, we have to, everyone has to do that, and everyone has to. But this hadith is guideline for us, that there is no such need. Rather, if this causes difficulties, then it should be avoided. Okay, then as I said that most would go to Medina, so there are certain etiquettes that should be followed going to the Medina. If you look at the map of the Medina, then you will get a bit of orientation, inshallah, that the Masjid al-Nabawi is surrounded by, you know, all the streets and hotels. On the right of it, on the east of it, is what is called Jannatul Baqi, which is the graveyard where many of the companions are buried. And this is one of the place where people like to go and give salam to the people buried there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there are certain manners to be followed, and briefly I want to mention that. First thing that a person who goes to Medina should recognize, what we said in the very beginning of this program, is that Medina is haram just like Makkah, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made al-Madina into haram. He said, al-Madinatu haram faman ahdatha fiha hadathan aw awa muhaddithan فعليه لعنة الله والملائكة والناس أجمعين لا يقبل منه يوم القيامة عدل ولا صرف. That Medina is sacred, is haram. No one should do evil action in this. Anyone who would do an evil action or help someone to do evil action, then on him is the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his angels and all people. No obligatory or non-obligatory deed will be accepted from him on the day of judgment. So very serious warning, and the person should make sure that he does not misbehave in Medina, that he does not do any evil action, he does not innovate and, you know, do things which are forbidden. And of course, this is why it's important to understand the issue of Medina. There is a purpose of visiting Medina. Why a person goes? People would have different things in their mind. Usually, there are four things a person would have. One of the four things a person would have, or some maybe more than one of those four. But four are the things that people have in mind when they go to Medina. Some have the understanding or belief that they are going to Medina because this is part of the Hajj. The Hajj is not complete without going to Medina. Second is to visit the mosque of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam there, Masjid al-Nabawi. Third is to visit the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And fourth is to visit other places of importance in Medina. So we'll look at briefly that what is the status of all these. Visiting Medina for the completion of one's Hajj. Is this a valid reason? This is not a valid reason at all, because once a person finishes the manasik of Hajj on the day of Nahr and then stays for 2 days in the Ayam al-Tashriq in Mina, and then performs the Tawaf al-Wada, then his Hajj is complete and he can go home from there with no problem at all. There's no requirement for the Hajj that one goes to Medina. So this is an incorrect reason for visiting Medina. It is not part of the Hajj. There are some false reports from which are assigned to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and these are lies, such as the hadith which says, "Man hajja wa lam yazurni faqad jafani," that the one who performs the Hajj and does not visit me, then he has disobeyed me. This is a lie. This is not the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and no scholar has authenticated this. Or the another kind of words reported, man zara qabri faqad wajabat shafa'ati. The one who would visit my grave, then my shafa'a, my intercession becomes wajib for him. This is also, the scholar, they said this is kadhibun mawdu'a. This is a fabricated lie on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no, this hadith is not correct. So there is no need in that way, and it is not part of the Hajj. To visit the mosque of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that a valid reason? Yes, this is a valid reason because of several narrations reported from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he encouraged and he mentioned the blessing or the reward or the khair in visiting his masjid, such as the hadith reported by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Imam Bukhari reported from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu saying that he said, "An Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam qal la tushaddu ar-rihalu illa ila thalathati masajid." There no journey should be taken except for 3 masajid, and those are al-Masjid al-Haram, wa Masjid al-Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wa Masjid al-Aqsa. These are the 3: the masjid in Makkah, the masjid in Medina, and the masjid in Baitul Maqdis. These are the 3 masajid that journey should be taken. Or he also said in another hadith reported by Imam Ahmad from Jabir radiallahu anhu, saying that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna khayra ma rukibat ilayhi ar-rawahil masjidi hada wal baytul atiq." That indeed the best of the journeys that can be taken is towards this masjid of mine and the ancient house, meaning al-Masjid al-Haram in Mecca. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said, according to Imam Bukhari, narrating from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that salatun fi masjidi hada khayrum min alfi salah fi ma siba'un illa al-Masjid al-Haram. That the prayer in my masjid, in this masjid of mine, is 1,000 times better than the prayer in Fima Sibahu, in any other masjid other than this, except al-Masjid al-Haram, because in the Masjid al-Haram the prayer is rewarded 100 times more than Masjid al-Nabawi. The third is to visit the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is that a valid reason? Then we ask why one needs to visit there, because the scholars, they define the visiting of the grave is of 2 types: that which is Shara allows, and that which is bid'ah, which is not permitted in the Shara. So if a person goes to a grave in a manner of worshipping or intercession, is not permissible. So the reason for them, for that visit, has to be clear. Is that visit to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or is it to ask him for help? Is it for honoring him, or is it for conveying him the salam and prayer? If it is for meeting him, then this is not a valid reason, because this is not permitted in the Sharia. If it is for asking him for help, this is not allowed except from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seeking of the help is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one else. So this is an act of shirk if someone goes with that thinking. To honor him, of course. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِهِ وَعَزَّرُوهُ وَنَصَرُوهُ وَاتَّبَعُوا النُّورَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ مَعَهُ. Those who believe in him and they want to honor him, then the way they honor him is by following the light of guidance he was sent. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. These are the successful ones. To convey the salam and prayer, this is also a valid reason. However, it should be understood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered us to send the salam and salawat to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Ayah of Surah Al-Ahzab. That indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his angel send salah to the Prophet, and O people who believe, you also send the salah and give the salam to him. The scholars, they said the salah is the salah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is praising Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in presence of angels, and the salah of malaika is dua for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or they said that the salah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is his rahmah, and the salat al-malaika is al-istighfar, asking for forgiveness for him. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us how we send the salah, and we do that in every prayer. However, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that inna lillahi malaika sayyahina fil ard yuballighuni min ummati as-salam. That indeed for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there are angels who roam around, sayyahina fil ard, they roam around in the earth, looking for if anyone gives salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from his ummah, and whoever gives, then he conveys it to. So a person doesn't necessarily have to be in Medina, rather anywhere on any part of the earth. If a person gives the salah or salam towards Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is conveyed to him, and he said that my soul is sent back to my body until it returns the hatta arudda alayhi salam, until I return the salam to him. So these are the things that we should keep in mind. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam very strongly discouraged making his grave a place of celebration. La tattakhidu qabri eidan. Don't take my grave as a place of celebration. So it is not permissible to go there, stand there, and for a long period of time pronouncing various things, singing, and long salam and salawat which are not prescribed in Sharia. So these are the kind of innovations which we see, and Muslim should avoid that and not spoil the reward of his Hajj by doing these kind of things. So now we know what is permissible, what are the reasons for one is allowed to visit Medina and what is not. Visiting the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should not be done routinely, but a person once when he is passing, then he should go and give salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A manner of doing that is that the door you enter, which is closest to the graves of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then on the right of him is Abu Bakr, and the right of Abu Bakr is Umar. These are the three. You can't really see the graves. These are just the doors which you can see. You stand in front of each one and you give salam, saying ya assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah. Then you move to the door in front of Abu Bakr's grave and you say assalamu alaikum ya Abu Bakr, and same for Umar radiallahu anhu. Once you've done that, then you should pass and not stand there and crowd. And this should, as I said, this should not be done. When Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu used to see someone stopping every time he goes by, he used to dislike this. So it is not something that is required that every time you go to the masjid and you have to go and visit. The other places of importance in Medina, I'll briefly inshallah mention the praying in the Rawda, which is a place between the mimbar and the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he said ma bayna bayti wa minbari rawda min riyad al-jannah. There is what is between my mimbar and my house, and that's where the grave is now, is part of the riyad, from the garden of paradise, Jannah. So that's where praying has reward. However, again, this should not be a place to crowd and push people. Rather, a person can find the place, then he should pray, and then he should move on quickly from there. Visiting Masjid al-Quba, this is something that is well known, that has reward, and one should do that. And this is because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The man kharaja hatta ya'tiya hada al-masjid, Masjid al-Quba, fasalla fihi kana lahu adla umrah." That the one who would go out until he would reach this masjid and pray there 2 rak'ah, then he has the reward of umrah. Visiting the graveyard in the Medina, which includes Jannatul Baqi and also the graveyard of the Mount of Uhud. Visiting these places, it has reward. All a person needs to do is to give salam to assalamu alaikum ahlad diyar min al-mu'mineen wal-muslimin wa inna insha'allahu lahiqun nas'alallahu lana wa lakum al-afiyah. These are the words Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught. How many days you stay in Medina? There is a weak narration. People base on that you pray 40 salah, and this would be كتبت له براءة من نار ونجاة من العذاب وبريء من النفاق. This is a report that scholars have explained that this is a weak hadith, so we don't base the ibadat on weak hadith, so it should not be paid attention to. Rather, how many days one is able to. More days should be spent in Makkah because praying there has more reward and the tawaf is available there. Rather, 1 or 2 days in Medina is sufficient. Okay, last thing, I want to mention a couple of important things, very useful items which I found are very useful and advice for anyone who goes for Hajj that he carries. The men should carry 2 sets of ihram garment, though they can have one from here and buy one when they reach over the other end. A mushaf, I mean Quran, everyone should have, because this is very useful that whenever one has time, he can read the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A book of supplication is very useful, especially for people who don't have many supplications in their memory. A small prayer mat, very useful, because many times you will not find a place for, on the floor or inside the masjid for praying, so you may be praying outside or the uneven surface or unclean, so a prayer mat is very useful. Either a money belt, a shoulder bag, or a neck wallet. I found the shoulder bag is very comfortable and also easy to use. A bag or a rucksack is important. It must have a bottle holder with it, because this would be your main carrier for things when you move from one place to the other during the Hajj. Sandals are very useful instead of shoes, because they are open, airy. You will have to make wudu time and time again, so feet will be wet. So, and taking them off and putting them back on is easier. Something made of waterproof material, so the wetting is not a problem. A drawstring bag. This is something that you would need all the time when you go to the masjid and come back. You can put your shoes there, you can put your umbrella in there, you can have side pocket for mushaf or anything else, and the bottle of water which you would have to carry most of the time. Umbrella, of course, is very useful because it's very hot and the sunlight is very bright. Sunglasses, especially in Arafah, because everybody is wearing white and it's very sunny and very hot, so the reflection, it hurts the eyes, and sunglasses are very useful. Some medication like paracetamol, concentrated glucose tablets, very useful, because during the travel or a lot of walking between the mashayir, one gets exhausted, so glucose tablets very useful. A travel plug, a multi-purpose travel plug, very useful. Wipes should be unscented, especially in Mina and other places, Ayyam Tashriq, wiping, cleaning the hands, etc. And for other purposes, wipes are useful, so one should carry a couple of packs of unscented wipes during this time of Ihram, but it can be used otherwise. Unscented soap, especially during the time of Ihram, you would need that. One's own razor for the men, when they have the head shaved, better to use your own razor and give it to the barber who's shaving your head, that he is more hygienic in that way. Slippers for tawaf. This is something that often people don't think about, but I found that this is an extremely useful thing. You can buy these slippers called Crocs, but they are very expensive. So I would recommend the cheaper option. There is a cheaper version which you can buy for £4 or £5. In fact, they are better. They are softer, they are better. You can, if they go dirty or break, you can throw them away. There's no problem. You don't need to spend £25, £30, but £4 worth. Those slippers are very useful. You can do the tawaf with them. You can use them once you are staying in the hotel. You can also use them in Mina for your daily use, and then you can wash them. This is the good thing about they are made of rubber or plastic. You can wash them and they are again clean, and you can go and do the tawaf again. For tawaf, because it's done on the hard floor, it's very hard. So using those slippers are very would be helpful. Inshallah, with that I would end. I hope inshallah that I have squeezed everything that is basic and necessary in this series, though there are many issues, and this is why it's important to go with someone who knows and who will be able to address the issues and help in difficult areas. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us more understanding and knowledge of this deen, the knowledge which is beneficial, and give us the actions based on that beneficial knowledge which are righteous and accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the success of hereafter. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج